What is going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. Time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. Let's start with DC first with Batman 142. This is Joker Year 1, Part 1, Chip Zdarsky on here. Big lead up to this issue. We had some Joker action in the previous arc of Batman, and we had this big cliffhanger moment in the last issue of Batman, which leads us into Joker Year 1. So if you've read a lot of the classic Batman runs, you're going to recognize a lot of these different scenes in here. We get some classic imagery in here that we've seen before. It does expand, obviously, on this. This is a Joker that has recently turned. He is kind of coming back to Gotham right now, and we have a situation now where some of the people that he was leading in the past have kind of rose up in his place. There's a power gap, right? And so different people are trying to take advantage of him leaving, and so he's making his presence felt once again inside of Gotham. Of course, it has that maniacal feel to it. It definitely sounds like Joker. It feels like Joker. I don't know if this book exactly hit all the beats I was expecting from a Joker Year 1 issue. There were certainly a lot of cool elements in here. A lot of interesting Batman Year 1 or 3 or something kind of imagery on here as well. So you get some cool snapshots of other people, kind of seeing where they are. And I dig the costume changes. So pretty good from an art perspective. There is this really cool art shift that happens here and there that is absolutely insane. I think like Sorrentino is on that one, if I'm not mistaken. There's some really cool things happening there. So very interesting book for sure. It's going in a couple different places. The art shifts are a little bit jarring to me, but they're well received because they're just done so well. So we're going to see what part 2 brings with Joker here in the Batman run. It was, I'm on the fence about it still. What'd you guys think of it? The next DC book I read was Red Hood, The Hill, issue number 0. Just jumping in because it was a light DC week for me, seeing what's going on. I dig the cover. We're going to see what Red Hood's up to, right? And so I jumped into this one not having high expectations, and I think that was a good choice, to be honest with you. I didn't really enjoy this book whatsoever. We have Jason Todd, we have Red Hood. He's still doing some stuff. He's in an adjacent town right now, dealing with some of the locals, bringing up some past relationships and past friendships and whatnot. And he's just kind of seeing where everybody is at this moment. Batman is looming out there right now still. They're obviously butting heads, but you know, they still care about each other, things like that. But the actual story in here just wasn't really gripping to me at all. I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest with you. It's basically about a town that was overrun by vigilantes back in the Joker War, and some people had to stand up and wear costumes, like kick-ass looking costumes, and take on some of the thugs themselves, or else they would lose their livelihood and their businesses and things like that. And so, you know, Red Hood, he's in here trying to teach them, like, okay, well, if you go down this path, it's a slippery slope and you might not like the results that you get. You might be successful now, but that might not be a good long-term plan. So we got to figure some stuff out. Of course, they get into some arguments and things like that. Some good points on either side. But at the end of the day, I didn't really enjoy reading the book, to be honest with you. I just wanted to, do a temperature check. It's issue number 0. Here it is. Not that great. What'd you guys think? Let's jump over to Marvel real quick with Mace Windu, Star Wars issue number 1. I'm really looking forward to this book because the cover was so cool, and Mace Windu, man, he's a fan favorite. So we check this one out, seeing what's going on. We get some high action right off the bat in this issue. He's actually escaping. He's going on a mission right now. I think Yoda sent him on a mission, and he's on the loose right now. He's trying to escape this like prison that he had to infiltrate, something like that. And he's doing some really cool stuff right in the opening scenes of the book. It really draws you in. It's pretty interesting. And then it brings in familiar faces like Yoda right off the bat. We get introduced to this other threat right now. There's this resource out there that can make reactors or engines or whatever run more efficiently. So they're afraid that that technology is going to fall into the wrong hands. And so Mace Windu is out there right now trying to uncover some information, trying to track this one person down who's trying to sell this secret. And of course, runs into like, your evil cantina scenes and gets into some trouble, things like that, while he's trying to find the person that he's trying to find. So it was a pretty interesting book. Lots of action right off the bat. Decent artwork, cool characters, recognizable themes and everything. Pretty straightforward story. I would say it's a decent run-of-the-mill Star Wars book. Mace Windu, what'd you guys think? Captain America issue number 6. I've been loving this series so far, and this book continues to be something that I'm excited for every single time it comes out. There's a really cool parallel happening here with some Nazi uprising when he was a younger kid, before the super serum and after. So now he's trying to settle back down again, dealing with similar threats right now. The enemy that they're dealing with right now is a pretty interesting enemy, I think, because this person likes to snuff the essence or the influence of a person. He actually can track their soul. And he does that through like demon magic and things like that. He can put like a hex on in a room, and if he kills you, he can stop your influence from spreading to others, which leads to revolts, right? Or revolutions. And so it's a pretty cool little theme. And now Steve Rogers is on this guy's list. So as he's battling, he's recounting these different battles that he had to do as a kid against the whole Nazi influence in New York City. And so I like the parallel. It's pretty cool. I wouldn't call it a slow burn, but I can see how people would be kind of annoyed by the book. I'm digging it. I like it. We have Steve Rogers as Captain America. This is awesome. Issue number 6. Check it out. All right, probably the biggest book of the week. And if you've been following my final order cutoff and everything that I've been putting out week to week, you shouldn't have missed this one. Ultimate Black Panther issue number 1. I love this book. This was really cool. It's going to start off with a bang. Over here in West Africa, we have these different towns or whatever. They're actually being slaughtered by this army by Ra and Khonshu. And we saw these characters in the previous Ultimate Invasion issue from Hickman. And so we get to see those people coming back up inside of this book, just completely destroying everything. We have a pretty cool moment here with Black Panther, with T'Challa, and we get to see who his wife is in this book. I'll leave some things for you guys. I'm not going to tell you all the little secrets in here, but the whole book is basically about tradition and how he's bringing new life to the world that he's been given right now. He is king. He has to respect tradition, but he also has to be practical and how he engages new enemies that might be popping up. And, he goes back and he actually consults his father, the previous king, right? And also some of the other mystical people that they've relied on historically to get some information from. And so this is a pretty cool book about a new king rising to power, using some of his family around him to help him make decisions to be a king, but not necessarily falling into the same traps that maybe the past generations have fallen into. We get a really cool new enemy inside this book. We think it's an enemy, maybe not, who knows? But not only that, we have a spouse of this enemy, and I'm super, super excited to see what's going to happen inside this book. Man, it's going to be so exciting. I love this one so much. Really cool artwork in here. Lots of, oh my God, holy crap moments in this issue. Yeah, I was super excited to read this. So glad it was good, man. Black Panther, Ultimate Black Panther number 1, definitely pick it up. But don't overpay for it. Dude, Chris Claremont on Wolverine, Madripoor Knights. We have issue number 1 with that homage cover. I'm just going to call it an homage cover. I think there was an actual cover swipe on one of the variants, but I like this issue a lot right here. So if you've been reading some of Claremont's stuff in the past, this one is actually taking place around the same timeline as one of the issues actually said, Uncanny number 268. So if you're familiar with that territory, I think you're going to dig this one a whole lot. So we have Psylocke, we have Black Widow, we have Logan, we have Jubilee, we get some Captain America stuff in here. They're infiltrating Madripoor right now, going on their latest mission. Of course, the Hand shows up via Captain America. He's on some kind of a mission right now and involving them, bringing the party to them, as one does. And so they actually get into a lot of cool battles in here, showing off a lot of their different powers. Logan is not healing like he used to, so we're in that state, but he's also the best that there's ever been at what he does. And so there's a lot of cool moments inside of here. Of course, Wolverine and team get rescued because the Hand's like an infinite force, and they get rescued from one of Logan's old friends who sends them on another mission. And man, there's just so many cool little moments in this book. The conversations were cool, the characterizations were fun, the art was really fun. I like this one a lot, man. Issue number 1 of Wolverine, Madripoor Knights. Definitely check it out. All right, next book we read was Crave issue number 3. And in classic issue number 3 fashion, we have the downfall of whatever the situation is inside of our comic. And so Crave is an interesting book. So basically there's an app that you can download on your phone. You tell it what you want and it gives you the steps you need to take to achieve that. Everybody apparently wants to hook up all over the place. So this whole campus is just full of people making out and stuff like that, breaking people's hearts. But at the same time, maybe you wanted somebody else and you type that in and they give you the keys to that kingdom as well. So we get to see everybody having a great time in issue number 1 and 2. Issue 3 is the downfall. Everybody gets pissed off that their spouse or significant other or boyfriend, girlfriend is off doing something else. People backstab each other. They start putting things on the internet, start streaming their activities through secret cameras and stuff like that, and all hell kind of breaks loose. We don't exactly know the source for this app yet, but we are now definitely on the path of do not use this because it's causing more harm than good. So it's a pretty cool book. It's very salacious, so I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff too, that certainly doesn't hurt the book at all. But yeah, Crave's a pretty interesting book. Check it out. All right, next book from Ram V. We have The One Hand, issue number 1 from Image Comics. Now, I think I first heard about this book over on Pop Culture Philosophers because he had Ram V on the channel. Make sure to check that out. They were talking about some upcoming projects. This is a collaboration effort with Dan Waters, who's writing The Sixth Finger, if I'm not mistaken. So we have The One Hand and The Sixth Finger, and you understand what that means after you read this book. But if you're looking for a futuristic crime noir kind of a story, this is definitely the book for you. If you like Ram V and his writing style, again, man, it's a slam dunk right here. Again, set in the future, like hundreds of years in the future. We're following this detective right here who is on his like last day on the force, right? They're throwing a retirement party for him, but as he's retiring, as he's kind of like blowing out the candles, this new crime comes through, right? This new case hits his desk or hits his partner's desk or whatever it is. And it's this old copycat murderer that he took care of way back in the day. And it's resurfaced right now. And he has to understand what the heck all this means. And he needs that closure, right? He's not going to like walk away from this. He was able to solve this case in the past. And now we have to figure out if this is a copycat, if this is the real deal, what's going on right here. So we have to analyze all the same clues that we had in the past, see what's different, get to the bottom of a lot of things. And it's really cool. The other cool thing this book does is through the art and through the storytelling, it takes these little moments, these beats, and lets you really sink into the world. There's a really cool scene here with presumably like this girl that he's dating here, and this blows out into something I did not see coming whatsoever, and it speaks to the futuristic part of this whole story. So that was really cool. But guys, if you're into a crime noir thing, you like Ram V, you like futuristic stuff, man, you got to be checking this one out. It was awesome. From Boom Studios, we had Pine and Miramac issue number 2. So from Kyle Starks, this is a really cool book. We basically have our Jessica Jones and our Luke Cage character here. They're running a PI firm right now. They're looking for this missing girl, and this missing girl, the case for this missing girl is very reminiscent of one of our main characters here, her younger sister who went missing when she was a child and was actually found dead. So there's a lot of like similarities between these two cases, and they're trying to do their best to, you know, save the day, right? Find some kind of closure in this case here. They beat up some bikers in the first issue. They get some ideas of where this person might be, which leads them to this real secret island, which is like an Epstein kind of an island, unfortunately. And they run into some real shady people who have connections high in like the political chain. So we're going to be seeing what kind of influence they have over people in high power, right? And so, yeah, this is a really, really cool book. Lots of action in here. And yeah, Kyle Starks knocking it out with Pine and Miramac issue number 2. Awesome art as well. Check it out. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, Jason Aaron. We have issue number 12 right now from Boom Studios. Again, I fell off of this around the time where they were starting their own little colony and like inviting a whole bunch of people in there and trying to develop that. This is a story really about 2 different people growing up in 2 different areas. And we have the one person, our female character here, who was like born and bred into chaos. She was actually part of these rangers in this apocalyptic world. And we had this other guy who was actually born in like an ivory tower kind of a thing. His arc is really interesting, I think, because he went from a place of convenience and surplus and security, and now he's out in the wild right now, grown up. This relationship was blossoming. They had their falling out. They went their 2 separate directions. They're old now. They're beaten down. They're weathered, but they're both extremely capable and kind of like warning the other person not to mess with them. And they have a long, complicated relationship and history, of course. And now there's some bads on their tail right now, and they're in a pretty bad way towards the end of this. But really, really cool book. It's definitely heading in a really interesting direction, has been for quite some time. Jason Aaron's knocking out of the park. Check this one out. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, man, issue number 3. This was one of my favorite books out right now. You definitely have to check this out. So this is that Richard Scarry meets Dexter kind of a book. We have our main character who's our serial killer, and we explored what that means inside of the first issue. But there's a copycat, maybe a taunting serial killer amongst them as well. And so our main character here is trying to figure out who that might be. And we're following different people in the community because they're really shady lady, and it might lead us to, who's actually to blame here. So it's really cool. We're following the butcher right now, which is like this little cat butcher. There's all these little scenes here, these gruesome scenes that might suggest that this person is, well equipped for this kind of a way of life. You know what I mean? And so we get a little bit of a deep dive on their history, who they might be, their relationships, things like that. And we get some cool twists and turns in here as well. So I really, really dig that. We have the funeral for the person that was murdered inside the end of the first issue. And there's some cool little revelations inside of that scene. So it was pretty cool. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, one of the best books out there right now. Definitely read this one. All right, we have Thundercats Man, issue number 1. We have Declan Shalvey on this one from Dynamite Comics. I was going to pass on this, but it's just like, it's a big deal. Pre-orders were outrageous for this one. We had so many copies and variants at the shop. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. I'll be honest with you. I'm a mid-'80s baby. Thundercats was never really on my radar. I was like culturally aware of it. I don't know if this book is taking place like during a movie or a TV show, or it's a retelling, or it's a continuation, or it's an origin story. I can't tell you. All I know is that in this issue here, we are actually exploring the whole team, right? They're relocating right now, and we have Lion-O here who's actually training. There was some time dilation, things like that. He's been aged up right now, but he's still kind of like immature in his training and his tactics and his battle awareness. And so we're kind of bringing him up to speed, so to speak, right here. We get introduced to part of the team, right? Not everybody, but we get the basic idea of who everybody is. And of course we get some villains and stuff like that busting in on here and threatening Lion-O, trying to destroy like the essence of their power, right? And so yeah, it was a pretty cool book. The action was there. I bet the long-term fans are going to be loving this stuff. If you grew up like watching the shows and whatever else, you're probably going to dig this. It was actually pretty cool, and it's fairly new reader friendly too, right? So again, if you're in the Thundercats, maybe sound off down below in the comments, man. Let me know what I need to know going into this series right here. Issue number 1, not bad. Conan the Barbarian, Titan Comics issue number 7. This was probably my favorite issue of the latest arc. The first arc of this was incredible from Zub. Definitely check that one out. This is a continuation of that arc in a way. We have this evil essence that was plaguing our first arc, reanimating corpses to like impossible strengths, and Conan and team had to take care of all of that. Very similar thing happened in here, and I'm trying to like draw the direct connection between them. If there is none, then so be it. But essentially we have an evil spirit or spirits in here taking over the mind and body of all these different warriors, and they're just absolutely wrecking shop, you know what I mean? Like taking out all these different people. They're very impressed with Conan's prowess, with his strength, with his ability, with his skill, and they're actually invading his mind right now to consume him. And so we get to see what it looks like when he absorbs this kind of power too. He's drawing a lot of similarities with the past relationship and some of the relationship he has right now, especially with the females. And so those are pretty interesting scenes. But yeah, Conan the Barbarian, not a comic that I was really into when I first started reading. I only got into it on this run here, and I'm loving the hell out of it. It's just so much fun. The art's okay in this run. It's better in the first arc, to be honest with you. There's another Conan book coming out soon as well, and I'm jumping on that one. But yeah, Conan the Barbarian from Zub, check this one out too. All right, last but not least, we have Jock on Gone, issue number 2 from Distillery Comics. This book is okay, to be honest with you. First off, amazing cover. We can just stare at this thing all day. Really, really cool. Interiors are really interesting too. So they're definitely utilizing the format. I mean, look at this opening page right here. We get like this ship that's traveling. The ship is actually chartered by all these rich people to do whatever, like intergalactic time travel or intergalactic travel, right? And so that's pretty cool. There's a bunch of crew that are on top of this ship. You can imagine when this ship docks somewhere to refuel, to restock, the communities, especially like the poorer, beaten down communities, they take that opportunity to go in there and they steal provisions, right? Just to stay alive. That's what we're focusing on inside of this book. This girl right here has a mother who's pregnant right now. The father is missing. A bunch of people, friends, family, things like that are just kind of barely getting by. So she tries to sneak onto the ship and steal some provisions. She ends up getting locked up in there and the ship takes off. And so now this is a whole story about her surviving in here, finding other people like her, stowaways, people who want to like rage against the machine are here trying to take this whole place down. There's some twists and turns inside of here. There's some cool futuristic stuff. She's crawling through vents, you know, finding some shady people, things like that. And she learns a little bit about her father inside of this issue, which was pretty interesting, I guess. There's some beats in here that just couldn't quite follow, and it just didn't seem natural. It didn't seem like It was paced very well. It's a beautiful book. It's really cool, and I like the presentation and everything, but it's really not hitting me yet. None of the distillery books are really hitting it for me just yet. We only have a few, but Gone #2, it's okay. Let me know what you guys thought. So guys, that's all I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thanks again for watching. See you in the comments.